It began as a discussion that I never imagined that I would go anywhere my husband with his customary interest and that light-hearted sparkle in his eyes brought bringing up the concept one night at dinner. I initially believed he was kidding as we frequently engaged in light-hearted chat, yet something was odd in the manner he gave me a sincere look when he said it while leaning in and dropping his voice. I want you to see me with two. Obviously, I recall how my heart skipped a beat, beat, not knowing how to react. It wasn't something I could never have predicted in our union, but the manner in which he stated his voice is so kind and full of desire. Caused me to hesitate. The idea persisted in between us. The air is a blend of a mixture of apprehension and excitement in my thoughts. I could sense themmy curiosity is growing despite the first after a few unexpected days. The concept was born. To establish themselves and develop into something more than a mere idle fantasy. The hubby was always patient and never pushed, permitting me to accept that I worked at my own speed, but every time he talked about it, the fire in his eyes intensified. Better, and ultimately I discovered who I was taking a fresh look at it, what might it seems like it might actually occur and more crucially, could I permit myself to allow yourself to have an experience so changed? So I discovered who I was, imagining the possibilities that I mentally prepared a number of situations, more intense every time my heart raced. Eagerly, and even though I never declared out that I was aware of I was interested by a part of myself that was interested in observing my hubby. Along with two other people in reality that the very notion of it roused I have a deep-seated desire that he had no idea it was there. So as we lay in bed together in the evening, I turned to face him, my heart racing. Chest, I smiled gently at him and replied all right. His eyes grew wide, and for a second I noticed a moment of incredulity before it was greeted with unadulterated excitement. We spoke for the next few evenings about it, going over each and every detail, barrier, ensuring that we were both at ease. He informed me about two ladies he had met, two people who were interested in him. By the notion and their willingness could hear the enthusiasm to join us. While he spoke, and oddly enough, I only strengthened my confidence in my when nightfall eventually came, I felt anxious, and my heart raced. I prepared myself with each hand brush. Felt more sensitive on my skin. I could sense the anticipation more than usual. Growing within me, yet there was furthermore a feeling of serenity that has descended upon me. Had faith in him, and I knew this was anything that both of us were. Entering the room was filled with people working together, dimly lit upon the arrival of the two women, gorgeous, self-assured, and graceful. Their eyes were pleasant, and they gave me a warm greeting. But brimming with an unsaid knowledge of what was going to happen to me. My husband was standing by me, holding my hand. Silently leaning on my lower back. Confirmation that we were involved in this. I could sense the excitement between us. Emanating from him, and I was aware that something that he had for a long time wanted to speak with the four of us for a little. Of us relaxing into the night and let as the stress gradually increased, there was no pressure, no hurry, simply an unspoken consensus that we would all proceed. That two women were moving at our own speed. Their laughter filled the room, wonderful. While we exchanged tales and glasses of I found myself unwinding in their wine. Existence of the initial anxiety disappearing and being replaced by a silent enthusiasm that rumbled beneath. The finally bring up the topic of conversation. Changed the atmosphere in a subtle way. The light-hearted flirtation started with my hubby at its core. His charisma is working like a charm. Two females inclined their eyes closer. Fixed on him, and I observed them experiencing an odd blend of feelings, enthusiasm, curiosity, as well as anything else I was unable to peaceful location, yet it wasn't envious. Was a more profound feeling of freedom of granting him the ability to examine this aspect of himself, and consequently learning about anything new myself. At the moment of the initial kiss was slow. One of the women leaned in toward her, tentatively. Lips lightly grazing his, and I saw my heart race while I held my breath. I in my chest, while I absorbed the image of his lips tenderly cupped her face. Following hers in a gradual, methodical. The other woman also observed rhythm. Her eyes darted between me and the mass. Was trying to gauge my response but didn't look away. Wasn't there something captivating about what's happening in front of Mezamething that drew me in more thoroughly, and the kiss got hotter and deeper. Fierce, and shortly after, the second woman joined in her mouth. She finds his as well. Now, all three of them are completely engrossed in Theus. I observed them experiencing my body reacts to the fire that is growing in my chest, lowering with every second that goes by. My spouse gave me a quick look. Briefly coming into contact with mine, and I could see his desire for me in that glance. I must participate in this in order. Toy sat down to observe everything. My heart thumping on the edge of the bed in me chest when I observed my husband as their hands moved across their bodies. Considering giving the three of them a little touch, moving in a slow, sensual rhythm together, I sensed the strain increasing in the air in the room was heavy with the women's longing. Slipped their hands together and gave him a deep kiss. Down his arms and across his chest, their emotions becoming more self-assured, demanding, and one of them then turned to she grinned as her eyes met mine. A gentle, hospitable grin, and extended her hand without giving it much thought, allowing she led me in closer until I was correct. Part of the moment there with them, her lips gently and softly touched mine. A gentle and full-bodied kissy let myself sink into it with assurance. Sensing her body's warmth against mine, the tenderness of her flesh under my. The other woman leaned in with her fingertips as she put her hand on my thigh, though. Soft touch but packed with my husband's eyes observed us with intensity, gloomy with longing as the trio moved our hands and mouths together. I could examine each other's bodies. Sense his eyes on me, and it's only increased the moment's intensity, being aware that he had desired this, what we had both decided to divulge. Night dragged on with every kiss and touch. Increasing our level of stress until I couldn't bear. My husband's hands were all over the place, his kisses switching between me and the two women, as we all walked in a tangle of limbs together, and the sensations were gentle. Sid's eyes delivering chills with every contact down my back, forcing me to take a breath. My throat. We gradually got to know one another. Purposefully enjoying each and every inch of skin with each gentle groan that slipped from our mouths. The pain increased, and passion growing to the extent that at times seemed to have halted completely. There were other people outside that room. The focal point of everything was his husband, his lips, hands, and body shifting between, bringing everyone together in a common encounter that seemed personal and freeing. And then when nightfall arrived at its height, the tension eventually subsided. My body trembled with release as I gasped, observing my spouse with the two women there, gentle groans linked their bodies. Filled the space. It was exquisite. Sensuous, and I briefly felt totally weightless and lost in the enjoyment of the moment. The four of us then lay there, our bodies are still intertwined. Soft, steady breaths waves. My hubby embraced me tightly around me, his lips pushing the two gave my forehead tender kisses. Women laying their hands next to us, their presence is still warm on my flesh. Still reassuring. I grinned with a profound sensation of a wave of satisfaction over me. This was things I never imagined. I would encounter something I've never believed I could do, but now as I lay here in the afterglow, I became aware of that I had made a new discovery regarding myself, my spouse, and the night of the nuptials had been more than merely a passionate deed. It had been a travail, a common experience that had brought us nearer, which had intensified the we already had a connection, and I felt alive. Like I hadn't in years, and I was aware of that this was only the start of something fresh. Something lovely, anything we could both investigate together. As I fell asleep, my eyes still have my husband's arm around me. Felt incredibly at ease knowing that a new chapter in our lives had begun. One that is full of potential with exploration and, above all, love. Two ladies who had played such a crucial role in our encounter stayed near, their availability a kind reminder of the amazing closeness that we had. My husband's arms remained encircled. His warm, comforting touch was all about me. His heartbeat was palpable against my back, calm and reassuring. I extended my hand, I brushed my fingers across the sleeve of. She turned to me, one of the women. Eyes that are serene and gentle, love that was similar to how I felt. I bent over and gave him a gentle kiss. Her mouth sensing her warmth in return, she grinned and trailed her fingertips softly down my arm in a quiet recognition of the intimacy that is shared. We had felt the other woman in a similar way, gentle and elegant, also drew nearer. She planted a kiss on my lips that was both gentle and exploratory. Analysis that reflects our relationship constructed. My husband's hands on both of us, giving us loving guidance, clearly conveyed his intense concern and desire. The room appeared to expand as we kissed. The air was warmer and more tangible. Feeling of love and longing. We examined one another's physique using a novel discovered freedom, and the kisses grew more passionate, more personal touches. There was no sense of haste or hurried, just a methodical, steady development of connection and yearning for. My husband's hands were moving in all directions between us with adoring precision that enhanced each contact. He leaned closer, and each kiss seemed like a gift. To plant a kiss on my lips, his lips lingering. The women found his breath to be delicious and warm. My flesh was touched by hands as they moved over it. Their kisses were bold and soft. Following my shoulders and neck we moved, sending chills down my spine. Our bodies were squeezed together, investigating every square inch of one another with a feeling of mutual amazement as the kisses intensified deeper and more intense as we allow it totally absorbed in the present moment. Our entire contact was led by our husband's hands. His kisses are powerful and sensitive, starting a burning fire inside of me, more radiant with each second that goes by. Our enthusiasm was electric. Deep intimacy with every kiss and touch was evidence of the trust and love we having been constructed over time. The room was full of whispers and gentle groans, affectionate remarks, our bodies moving in a cadence that was organic and exciting as the evening went on. We kept investigating one another's relationship, getting stronger every touch. The moments built an intensity to a climax, and we exchanged an encounter that was both intensely personal. Andy deeply looked into my husband's eyes, never abandoned me. His eyes were full of a blend of want and love as he kept leading us all through this at last, a personal journey. As the night reached its zenith, we discovered a brief perfect harmony between our hearts and body joining forces in a joint release that left us all gasping. So we held each other close, our breaths mixed with one another. Entwined bodies in a tender embrace. There was a sense of calm throughout the room. And contentment. A silent recognition of the close bond we all shared, felt in the gentle light of the we lay together in the early morning light. Our bodies remained pushed against our hearts. Full of our connection and love for one another, I was wrapped in my husband's arms, his soft, consoling touch, while the two women slept next to us. Presence serves as a reminder of beauty. The adventure we had set out only closed my eyes with a profound feeling of satisfaction and pleasure. That evening had been not merely a bodily encounter, it had been a voyage of discovery of love and connection. Andy realized as we lay there together that this marked a fresh start for all of us, a fresh phase in our lives that is full of potential with adventure and the majority of everything with. As the night went on, our relationship grew stronger and more intimate, verbal comprehension directing our behavior. We were engrossed in the moment's beauty. Every kiss and touch brings us closer. My husband's hands stayed together. Cautious yet deliberate investigation of our bodies' contours with a gentle care that revealed his profound. His kisses were a combination of each one's sensitivity and passion, lasting longer, with each touch setting off a warmth that permeated both of us. Women participated in the experience on an equal basis, reflected the ferocity of our common connection. They made a smooth motion, assurance in their lips and hands, investigating with a shared feeling of desire. The kisses that we shared were sensuous and sluggish, creating a beat that matched the regular pulse of the. We examined each other's bodies that night with a heightened sense of freedom, the limits we used to know decomposing into a shared intimacy, and the room's warmth took us in, our breaths blending in the gentle, subtle light that illuminates every touch and kiss. Turned into a festivity of our strengthening bond is evidence of the love and trust that we had fostered throughout. My husband's eyes frequently met mine over the years, brimming with an intense feeling of. His touches were filled with love and satisfaction, gentle yet brimming with an indisputable enthusiasm, with each gesture reflecting his wish to have this experience. His hands roamed, making it unforgettable for all of us, his kisses flowing across my skin from my lips to my neck, following the trajectory of love that made me gasp for air. The presence of two ladies creates a harmonic addition to our evening's response. With equally gentle, their touches were gentle. Their warm kisses provide a dynamic of closeness that was thrilling, and consoling one another helped to create a shared experience that was both distinct and incredibly satisfying. We kept on examining how our bodies move in unison in a dance of love and longing. The touches and kisses became increasingly passionate, more inquisitive as we accepted that there was no hurry, and the moment was free. Lack of hurry, only a sluggish intentional investigation of one another's needs and ambitions. As the darkness increased, the room's energy level changed, the escalating passion to a crescendo, in which we were all completely engrossed. The experience of our growing relationships. Every physical contact fosters intimacy. An emote accompanied what we shared, intimacy that enhanced the moment, striking when we eventually arrived at the pinnacle of our common experience. The feeling, it was evident that we were united and fulfilled, kept our bodies close to one another. Wrapped in a tender hug, in the space was characterized by a quietness, representation of our close relationship. In the silence that followed, we all shared, kept holding each other's breath, gradually getting back to its typical suppleness off the bedding, and the coziness of our bodies formed an intimate cocoon that was consoling. And my husband's arms were wrapped around me, calm, his soft, comforting touch while the two women slept next to us. Availability as a reassuring reminder of our journey was lovely. Exchanged as the night transitioned into the we lay together in the early morning light, hearts full with affection and kinship. We had felt the sensation of exploration and adventure have led us there. Strengthening our relationship in ways we had never. I thought I had a strong feeling of tranquility and contentment in the knowledge that this encounter had been a fresh phase in our lives full of affection, trust, and reciprocity. Respect. We had genuinely shared something unique that would always continue to be a treasured memory. And as we fell asleep, with each curled around them embrace of others, I was aware that the love we had been communicated would have kept expanding. Fostering our relationship and providing direction, guiding us through the upcoming adventures ahead.